You can be seated. Let's sing together Song of the Garden. And we can rise and sing. Thank you. Please be seated and join me in an opening prayer. Our beloved Heavenly Parent and true parents of heaven, earth and humankind. Thank you so much that we can gather today, the 26th of January 2026, for the Seongwha celebration for our dear brother Alexander Frederick Herzer. Heavenly Parent, today we see our brother Alec off to his eternal home in the spirit world with you. We believe in eternal life. We believe we are created for eternal life, and this time on earth is but a fleeting moment in our eternal existence, where we learn to love and we learn to grow our heart, that we can thrive in our eternal world of home. As we sang, our troubles and our trials here only make us richer there. Heavenly Parent, we pray that the riches that Alec has stored on earth will see him and his wife Elizabeth thrive in the eternal home that you have reserved for them. And someday in the future, we will meet them again with joy and laughter and reminisce of the times that we went through, the struggle to build your kingdom on this earth, the struggle to raise loving families, the struggle to bring your peace on this earth. And we will be glad for the time that we shared together, and we will be joyful eternally with you, having brought some joy to you. Heavenly Parent, please be with us and guide our activities today. We will have this Seongwha ceremony, and later at Stanton Fitzwarren we'll have the 1 John ceremony, where we will lay Alec's body into the ground, back to the earth that gave him the elements that is his physical body. But his eternal spirit lives on, Heavenly Parent, and our hearts are with him today. We remember him. We will hear many stories about our relationship with him today, to bring back those memories to our vivid imagination, and we can laugh again with Alec, who I'm sure is present with us today. Heavenly Parent, I want to offer all of these things to you, all of us here, with one heart. I report this with gratitude and in attendance to our Holy Mother Hand. In my name, Aja, mold of a blessed family. Aju. Aju. So good morning again, and welcome to this Seongwha ceremony. It's a joyous occasion, but we understand that it's also heavy for many of us, because we know we will not see Alec again physically on this earth. But it's joyous because we know that he will now be joining his beloved wife Elizabeth and our Heavenly Parent in the spirit world. So we are here to celebrate. So even as we are feeling a bit heavy, let us be joyful. We can see the slideshow there. Some of you may appear on those slides on the right there. And remember Alec, the way he was, the way he is, vibrant and joyful, funny, and loving, more than anything, loving and sincere. So this is why we're here today, to celebrate our brother Alec. We're going to have another song. So those of you who know it well, and all the English men and women here should know this song well, we will stand and sing, I Vow to Thee, My Country. Please, let's stand. was really amazing. Thank you. Please be seated. We're now going to have a few tributes from friends and colleagues and family. First, I'd like to call on Patricia Hartley to offer a tribute, and it will be read by Matthew Hewish. So please welcome Matthew.
So, good morning, everybody. Greetings from Patricia Hartley, my mother-in-law. So, Alec joined the Unified Family in 1968, as the Family Federation was called back in those days. A story which I would like to share with you today is from those early days. Alec had a real sense of humor. Those of you who knew him will remember his distinctive laugh. Anyway, one evening during dinner, after returning from work to the house where we all lived in Streatham, Alec told us what had happened to him that day. In those days, we all lived such busy and exciting lives and often didn't find much time to sleep. Anyway, Alec told us that earlier that day, his boss had come to talk with him in the office where he worked. Alec said that in the middle of their conversation, Alec had fallen asleep. The way he told the story had us all in stitches of laughter. Can you imagine the mystified expression on his boss's face? Another story that I would often go and chat with Alec's wife, Elizabeth, in their house in Mottingham in 2001 and 2002, when she was unable to get around on her own anymore due to her poor health. Elizabeth would always have her prayer list on the table and was known for especially praying for all the young people in our UK communities and further afield. During one of our chats, I told Elizabeth that we were looking for a spouse for our eldest daughter, Natasha, and that I had already received 2 signs about a certain young man, but deliberately didn't mention his name. Then out of the blue, Elizabeth said, "How about that Hewish boy, Matthew?" I literally nearly fell off my chair because I'd already received 2 signs about Matthew, and what Elizabeth said was the 3rd sign. So Natasha and Matthew were blessed in marriage in 2004 and have given Eddie and me 8 beautiful grandchildren. So thanks to Alec and Elizabeth for the part she played for that to happen. I was there in 1968 when Alec joined the Unified Family, and I also witnessed the struggles which he and Elizabeth had after they received the marriage blessing in 1970, because they didn't share the same language. Speaking only her mother tongue, German, when they first met each other, Elizabeth made great efforts to learn her husband's language, English. Alec told me that he really regretted not having learned his wife's language, German. I also remember how thrilled they both were when their only son, Uni, was born, despite his mother's health issues. Uni made them parents. Alec and Elizabeth had a deep love for God and true parents and loved to share the new truth they had embraced themselves with many people they met during their spiritual journey in this world. I'm sure they will continue to do so in their eternal home. Those of us who knew Alec will miss him. To Alec and to everyone. Dear Alec, my apologies for not attending your Seongwha in person for health reasons, but Eddie and I are certainly attending this beautiful ceremony online. Personally, I'm looking forward to seeing you and my dear sister Elizabeth again when joining you both in our eternal home, where one day all of us here will also meet each other again. So it's not goodbye, but rather auf Wiedersehen, which in English means until we see each other again. God's blessings to you, my dear brother. If I may just take the opportunity to share something personally. Those of you who have shaken Uni's hands knows that he works out. rather bone-crunching handshake he's got there. And I don't know for certain, but I believe that this was inspired by your father, because I don't know if you knew, but Alec worked out. He had a bunch of weights at his home, so I don't. Maybe not yet, but his longevity may be prolonged by his fondness of using weights. So those of us who need to work out, maybe we can take an example from our dear older brother there. It doesn't matter how young or old we are, we can look after ourselves.
I should have said everybody that's coming up here, so I don't have to keep coming up. So next we'll have Sister June Darby, who is from the same blessing. And then after June Darby, I'd like to invite Philip Withers to give the eulogy. And then Matthias, on behalf of the family, will give a tribute from the family. Okay, so June.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
It's a real honor for me to be able to share something about Alec. He is, I should say, truly a special person. You know, when I think of Alec and Elizabeth individually and as a couple, what comes to me is faithfulness. And I really feel that Alec and Elizabeth embodied faithfulness. They were an exemplary couple. They loved Heavenly Father, they were loyal, they did their best to obey two parents. Elizabeth was a prayer warrior, as you heard from Matthew, and Alec loved to witness until he could no longer go out anymore. And they did their 100% best in their lives, both of them, in their spiritual journey. And actually, one time, Alec told me, very happily and gratefully, that when he was in America, Father had actually told him that he had fully paid his personal indemnity. So that's amazing. So I was very happy to hear that. And when his father, Fred, moved into Stretton, I used to love going to visit his father with Alec, because Fred was always such a cheerful person, and he always had a joke or some cheery story to tell us. So we always used to laugh so much when we were together with him. And just before, and I always used to keep an eye on them to make sure they were all right. I mean, after Alec had been blessed with Elizabeth when we were in Stretton, I hadn't yet been matched. Then Alec came to me and he said, Julie said, I hope you're not worried about me being matched with Elizabeth, because he thought I might have wanted to be matched with him. I said, no. Yeah, I'd always only kept a motherly eye on him. And well, I shall always remember Alec and Elizabeth. I will miss the conversations I had with Alec. He would often phone me and share what was happening in his life. And I'm very grateful that I could know such a person. He's really a treasure, and I shall always remember him with pride and look forward to seeing him and Elizabeth again, but I hope it's not too soon. Thank you.
Good morning, brothers and sisters. It, as June just said, it's actually my privilege to stand here and to share the eulogy of my wonderful elder brother that I've known all my life. But in the last 15, 20 years, I got to know quite better. So it's my great honor to read this, and the eulogy was actually put together by June Darby and Patricia and David Franklin. David knew Alec very, very well. As you might know, he was the secretary of our movement and was always on the blower to Alec, make this, do that, go here, go there, and Alec always was there. He never stopped. Eulogy for Alexander Frederick. The way he used to say when I used to take him places. What's your name? Alexander Frederick Herzer. His very British way of speaking. I always loved to hear and be. He had such a British way of. He was quintessential, is that the right word? Quintessential Englishman, British person. Alec was born in 1937, just before the Second World War, and grew up in Hammersmith, on the streets of Hammersmith. His father was a policeman in a very, very difficult place in Soho. And his mother was a seamstress, and she also was an upholsterer, the things he told me about his mother and father. During the war, when there were air raids, he told me that he used to hide under the table in the kitchen when all the bombs were dropping all around. So him and his mum used to hide under the table. Alec was a very keen cycler. He was extremely fit, and that was one of the reasons why he was so fit. He never stopped cycling when he was a boy, younger. Bombing down to Brighton to see. He had all the gear, the special. They didn't have Lycra, of course, in those days, but they had these special uniforms, and you would see these men whizzing around, going down to Brighton to see who was the fastest, and whizzing around Battersea Common and Battersea Park, where he grew up, around that area. And I have to say, I had my sister's partner was the same age as Alec, and he lived in Battersea, and he told me exactly the same stories as what Alec would tell me about bombing down and joining clubs as cyclists and zooming around. Anyway, Alec was super fit. He worked for a time at the Royal Geographic Society preparing maps, including one for Mount Everest. And then he joined the army, but he wasn't actually called up. And I want to just emphasize one of the things that I really learned about Alec was that he always wanted to better himself. So he tells me the story that he was going to be called up, but he thought, I can become an engineer. So he joined for 12 years. He joined, and I said, 12 years? Why did you do that? Well, I wanted to be an engineer, and anyway. But there was hanky-panky there, and he could see that what was going to happen, he wasn't going to become an engineer. So he legged it. He was there for 3 years, and he got on his bike, and he drove all the way up through Europe from Cyprus, where he was demobbed, and he went all the way through Europe. And again, this point of always wanting to better himself. When he was working, he was looking in, he tells me this story, he tells me he's looking in this antique shop, right? And then there's this elder gentleman there, and they start talking. And this elder gentleman is from Iran. And this gentleman is quite wealthy and takes Alec under his wing. So there's this working class boy but he's always wanted to better himself. And this gentleman talks to him. He becomes like his, what's that word when somebody gives you advice? Mentor. His mentor. He becomes his mentor. And through him, he becomes, through this mentor, this gentleman from Iran, he joins the 95 Club, which is a cultural club, and he becomes the secretary, and he's sitting in the front, and then 4 ladies come up to him because they see this young, handsome dude there. And then there's June and Marion and Eve, the sister of Patricia, and Patricia is there too. And they're coming to visit this place, and he says to them, actually, whenever you come, it's always on kind of spiritual. You only come for these spiritual talks. Is there any reason for that? So it's like, you imagine these circling ladies. Oh, by the way, yes, of course, it's funny you should say that. We have some wonderful new idea that we could do. Anyway, so that's where it all started, wasn't it? And I'm sorry, I'm getting lost here. Anyway, he moves in with that. So this is what Patricia writes. The 4 sisters had witnessed for many wonderful British people, but none joined. Then one of their sisters, she received spiritually that for an English person to join the movement, all people from the Commonwealth would have to join our movement. And that's when, of course, older members would know Bob Duffy and our brothers and sisters from the Caribbean. So Alec was the first English person, bless his heart. Alec was the first British person to promise to come and hear the divine principle. He was the first English person to accept the divine principle and understand the mission of our true parents. But he wasn't the first to join. That was Ian Alexander. This is what I'm reading here, and we all know Ian. So as we've been told, soon after Alec joined, then Fred, his dad, joined. And Alec used to say his father was a real Cockney from the East End, and they had really wonderful talks and wonderful time with brothers and sisters. Alec did many things from that time on. He made many spiritual conditions and was always 100% committed to the providence of God. This brings us now to 1970, when the beautiful and glorious Elizabeth Werner and Alec Herzer were blessed in the 777 blessing. So when I joined our movement in the way back, 7 couple, wow. They were 777 couples. So I've always had June and Elizabeth, Alec, the Zaccarellis. They were like always my elders, and I have always loved them. Because when I moved into our movement, they were the 7 couple. And at that time, the national leaders chose and they matched the couples to be blessed in Korea. So Paul Werner matched his sister to Alec. And Alec's, when I used to visit Alec when he was in his home after his memory was fading, I would show him this picture, and I would say, "You remember who this beautiful woman is? And it's your wife, Elizabeth, sister of," and he would say, "Paul Werner." Paul Werner. He remembered Paul Werner so well. Paul Werner was, of course, one of the leaders and stars of our movement Anyway, he goes on and gets blessed. And I write here, I read here that Elizabeth, as we heard, she couldn't speak English, so they couldn't communicate properly, but had still trusted the choice made for them. And Father was so happy for their connection. Father used them as a good example, not knowing each other or not knowing each other's languages, but overcoming the barriers of nationality. And he would use that example in many of his speeches, which I heard, by the way. Still okay? I'm not going on too long, am I? Alec and Elizabeth pioneered centres in Newcastle, in Glasgow, and Plymouth, and Bristol, and they brought many people. They brought people. I was making candles at this time in the early 70s in Row Lane Farmhouse, and I made thousands and thousands of candles. And the person always phoning me up to get more candles sent to Newcastle was Mr. Alec Herzer. He drove me crazy. He was always on the blower. "Philip, I need more. Yeah, the ones with this certain speed, the black and white ones, because for the Newcastle, that's their colour." And he made so much. He crushed it. He was the top fundraiser in that. Everybody knew, if you asked anybody who was the best fundraiser with candles, £90 a day. Back in the early 70s. Can you imagine that? 90 quid? Blew my mind. And then in 1976, listen to this, 1976, Dennis Orme is told, "Come here and bring some people to America, New York, and publish a newspaper." So Alec was wafted off. And I looked online, and this is what I read. The New York Tribune, which Alec was in the layout, he had no knowledge of what to do. Dennis didn't know. All the other members didn't know what to do. But Father said to Dennis Orme, "You've got a face like a bulldog. Your face is squashed in, and you can do this. Go and do it." That's what Dennis used to tell me. And Alec knew nothing about publishing a newspaper, but they did it. They did it. And Father wanted the paper to be published before the end of 1976. So Google it, it says the paper launch of the first paper was December the 31st, 1976. Alec said to me when I used to speak to him and we had coffee, he used to say, "It was the most crazy, unbelievable, crazy time. But I loved it so much," he said. I loved New York. He lived in Queens for 4 years. He loved that time. And it was a time, he said, where he learned much of his trade, and he really super enjoyed his time there. Alec, of course, worked on many of the publications within our movement, and I just want to say when David would phone him up, we need a banner for this, a banner for that, Alec would have to do it. A banner here, a banner there, publishing different publications for our movement, Alec did it. He never ever said no. And as June said, he felt such a heart to fulfill whatever he was asked to do. And in that way, he was like the salt of our British movement. He was the origin of he never would say no. If he wanted bums on seats, he was in the first seat. If he wanted to go to Sunday, always there for Sunday service. Always, never said no. Alec worked on most of the publications. Every time we had a holy day or conference, him and others were asked to make the banners. He worked and developed many of our successful businesses. He managed for a few years, our 2 workshop centres, and always invested 100%. Then home church came, the providence to go to hometown, and Alec and Elizabeth started Venture Graphics here in his studio was in Livingstone House. And if you went into his office, it was like an Aladdin's cave. It was full of stuff. And I would go past. I was working in Korea at that time, and I Bernard was here, and he used to give me work. So nice. Anyway, I used to walk past, and then Alec always had his head down. Always had his head down. And then I would bang on the window like that, and he would look up, and he had these huge magnifying glasses on. Because his work was so intricate, he would make these plaques for paintings, and it would have the name plaques on it. And he was a perfectionist. This was the point about Alec, which I really appreciated. His house, his car, a beautiful big blue car that he adored, he used that car, of course he loved it, he always used it for the higher providence. David would ask him to go anywhere, he went everywhere, pick up dignitaries in his beautiful big car. Anyway, what I wanted to say, and I'll finish here, that after he had these problems with his memory, it was a little bit difficult, but he was totally a perfectionist. He knew where everything was in his office, in the car, in his house, spotlessly clean. And I used to go and visit him, and then I just kind of not something like that, and he goes, what? He wanted everything perfect. And it was such a wonderful, I'm not like you go to my house now. Oh, you wouldn't want to stay there. But there in his house, he was such a beautiful, everything was in order and perfectly clean. When he had these difficulties with his memory, we used to take him walking, and until eventually he lost his, he couldn't stand up. He couldn't keep standing. And eventually, bless his heart, he went into a care home. And I want to just finish just by saying, when was his birthday not so long ago, and we always had our coffee time, Guatemalan coffee. That was we used to say, I used to buy Guatemalan coffee. We had beautiful cake, and that night before we had the celebration for him, I was asking Heavenly Parent, God, what do you want me to say? What can we say? And then this very deep feeling came into my, I'm not saying I heard voices, but such a strong feeling that said, tell Alec thank you. Thank him for all that he did, for me, for my providence. So I was able to tell him that, and we had a good laugh, we had a good time, and we gave him a hug. And then just before he passed away, David Mann and I went to visit him, and that was the last time we went. And we sang him songs. By this time he was just sleeping. He could only sleep. And it was so lovely. I appreciate Alex so much because of what he did for heaven and for our movement. And yesterday was a new influx of good people, and our president of our movement just a few days ago was handing over all this wonderful flame to new leaders, and it's kind of appropriate that our dear brother passes away at this time. And after David left, I was sitting with Alec and singing him a song, and I said, thank you so much, Alec. You've been a great inspiration to me and to Heavenly Parent. I gave him a kiss on his cheek, and then I left him, and then just a few days after, he passed away. So thank you, Alec. You've been a great and wonderful, wonderful, wonderful foundation for our movement, and we stand on your shoulders. Bless you, bless you, bless you.
You know I have my tie.
Good. Hello? Hello. Good morning, everyone. I am Matthias Werner Herzer, the oldest grandchild of my grandfather, Alexander Herzer. I would first like to say how lovely it is to see so many familiar faces on this day of loving appreciation and celebration for the man my grandfather was, and to be back at this house where, as a child, I had many of my first truly beautiful times, many of which were of my grandfather. These past few weeks, I've spent many hours in remembrance, indulging myself in all the times I spent with him throughout my life, and in doing so, gaining an even deeper love for him and life as a whole. He had a studio here, containing a myriad of tools and materials to accommodate his creative occupation. He would take me in there on occasion and would show me his work, further establishing within me such a great fascination for art and craftsmanship at such an early age, a trait that would lead me to a lot of creative pursuits growing up. Times of joy, love, and connection they were, that have kept me grounded throughout my growing years. My grandfather had such a pure smile. He spoke and laughed with such a jolly heart, always showing me his best side. For my whole childhood, he would visit us weekly. Vividly, I remember his smile every time I opened the door. We would play and talk together, spend time in the garden that my mother worked so hard to make. I loved watching nature documentaries with him. he was always so enthralled by nature's beauties, more so than I was. His joyous comments and fascinations were not just the animals on screen, but for all the things in this world that would go unnoticed by so many, truly spoke to me. He always had good things to say about my mother's cooking. Dinner tasted sweeter in his presence. When it was time for him to leave, I would help him put on his hat and jacket and wave goodbye as he left, with a brighter smile than when he arrived. Many days, my father would take our family on outings, to parks, cafes, see animals, and to make memories. And many memories were surely made. My mother would always ensure that I kept in touch with him, and every time I called, he would answer with the same timeless and loving tone as he always did. We would talk of what we were up to, ensuring we were always updated in each other's lives. I learned so much from him and owe so much to him. His heart was pure and his love was unconditional. His faith and constant pursuit for something greater brought out the best in him. May he rest in the loving reassurance that all his actions, every word he spoke, every thoughtful act of service towards everyone and everything has planted seeds in the hearts of many. Seeds that will blossom great teachings, seeds that will keep us rooted on the right path, seeds which have made their way into the soil of the heavenly realms that have now grown into a heavenly garden, where he now resides by my grandmother's side, under the loving light of the Most High, watching us and guiding us from higher grounds. True love, true purpose, true power comes first from an authentic heart, one that always yearns to know itself deeper, one that always yearns to know others deeper, a heart that he always had. I feel a deeper connection to him than ever before. He may reside in a realm unseen, but not in a realm unfelt. And as a final word, may we all continue striving for better days, always finding gratitude and strength in hardships, always appreciating both the big and small things, never letting the world's hidden beauties go unnoticed. And may we all live as one in knowing that we are never alone. There's no true separation between anything in glorious creation. For the ones that moved on from this world, our souls are divinely entangled. We will all meet again in time. So thank you, Grandpa, the man that you were and the soul that you are. I'm proud to be someone you cherish. I will love you always. Thank you.
Thank you, Matthias and Philip and Matthew and June. Thank you very much. And now I'd like to invite our National Director of the Family Federation I'm going to put you on first. After we've heard from Bogdan Pama, the National Director, then we'll hear from Alec himself, because he was interviewed a few years ago on screen. So let's hear from Bogdan. Thank you.
Good morning, brothers and sisters, uni and family. We already heard so many precious memories and stories, and the one line from Uncle Alex, Mr. Alexander Frederick Herzer's poems, he has one line twice in his collection of poems, and it says, "Death was nowhere to be seen." It's in one of his poems at the very beginning of the collections on the journey home, and as well as in the last one. And as we are gathered here, these words resonate. Death is nowhere to be seen. We're celebrating today the life of our dear brother and uncle, and through his life, through his dedication and life and offering that we heard so much about, we substantially glorify and praise God. A life of love is the best praise, the best way to honor, to substantially honor God, our Heavenly Parent. And now hearing these stories and connecting with the life and appreciating our dear brother and uncle Alec Herzer, it came to me how deeply, deeply grateful our true parents are for him and his wife Elizabeth and everything that they went through. True parents are deeply grateful. As you know, they were part of the 777 blessing group. And on October 22nd, 1970, and True Father often talked about this blessing as opening, as the first international blessing, as the first blessing that opened up the holy marriage blessing beyond Korea and Japan to the whole world. But then if you look at the numbers, out of the 777 couples, there were 16 couples that were from Europe and America. And among those 16 couples, there were only 3 couples were enemy nations. In my understanding of reading the list, only 3 couples were enemy nations were blessed together. There was one American-Japanese couple, there was one French-Austrian couple, and there was Alec and Elizabeth, Werner. And so the journey of heart, of expanding one's heart, to bring these worlds together in front and in the presence of our Heavenly Parent and of true parents is a thing unmeasurable. And there is a deep gratitude from true parents for their life and their path and everything that they did to open the gate, not only within our small community, but globally, to bring this world together as one family. And as we heard, our Uncle Alec certainly lived his life with that heart and with that dedication. I lived in this house for 1 year and had in this 1 year maybe 100 teas together, a cup of teas with Uncle Alec in the kitchen, in the kitchen where, as when Bernard and Masako were here in the house, the center of the house was not the ballroom. The center of this house was the little kitchen next to the entrance, and without fail, once a day, whenever he was here, Uncle Alec would come in and have a cup of tea with whoever was there. He made himself a cup of tea and we shared. We must have shared many stories, but I don't remember much. And only his love, only his precious love that is testament to this, to the love of God and the love of true parents. And also Yoshiko remembers him for his immaculate work, his immaculate studio, and his out-of-character driving. That wasn't mentioned yet, so I thought it needs to be acknowledged here as the beauty and the humor, the grace and the honor and all these wonderful characteristics of our Heavenly Father that were manifested and expressed on this temporary scale, in this temporary time, that Uncle Alec, Mr. Alexander Frederick Herzer, was with us here. So it's a new start. It's a new start for Alec and Elizabeth as a couple, as an eternal couple, as sharing, as true parents often said, one spiritual body together in the spiritual world. Let's not imagine this right now. We'll see when we get there. But this oneness to really become an image of God for eternity, a resemblance. And I think this encourages all of us as we reflect on our dear brother's life, no matter how close or how far we were, how deeply intertwined, or whether our paths just touched shortly. It is a wonderful opportunity to grasp the essence of love, life, and lineage that true parents have brought us, what we are here to bring into this world, and see ourselves in Uncle Alec's life and strive to be deeper, wider, more loving, and a bit more like our Heavenly Parent. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Bogdan. We'll now have the video clip of, it's a short clip of an interview from 2012, was it? So if you want to see the full interview, talk to me later. But there's a short clip to get an idea of Alec.
Oh, I loved it. I was rolling the aisle.
I think that was we were taken by surprise.
They really were.
And it was then that our members came along thinking they would be good people to witness to. And after 2 or 3 weeks, I was asked if I would like to hear a new revelation from Korea. Well, frankly, that didn't make any sense to me. But what I did sense that these brothers and sister members were from very different backgrounds, national, ethnic backgrounds, different points of view, obviously. So I thought, well, whatever they're doing together must be very good. So I ought to suss this out. And so I did. And my first impressions were one of a sense of belonging, I should say, really, because it was clear to me that this is where I was supposed to be. It's really lovely out here today, isn't it? Yeah. Beautiful garden. Fabulous. My greatest joy, I think, is in witnessing, because I feel the people around us are in desperate need for solace, for some idea of why we're here, what we're to do together. And we think about today as one family under God. And I think that's the most marvelous thing to be aiming for, because we go out with a sense that we are brothers and sisters of the people around us. We're not carrying, or trying not to carry, prejudice, preconceived notions about who or what people are, but we're praying to meet people who are receptive at this stage. Always Elizabeth said to me, be grateful, whatever comes. And that's transcendent, actually. If we're grateful for difficulties, then we can overcome them. Then we can pass through those barriers. You know you're on camera, don't you?
Big birdie. Cool.
Yeah, thank you very much, Uncle Alec. We're now going to have a short flower ceremony. We don't want to go on too long. So we're just going to have the family and the first few rows offer flowers. So we'll have some music in the background, and then the family will come forward and place flowers. Is there space between these candles? Yeah. Place flowers in the front. Thank you very much. Thank you for beautiful music as we're offering the flowers to Alec. I thought I was at risk of being Jenga and when will it topple over? But it held fine, so that's great. Okay, thank you. So So now we're going to have a final benediction, and then we will go off to the Wonjon to have the Wonjon ceremony. For those who are going, if you need transportation, let me know. We have a few seats, but it's going to rush back here after the immediately after the Wonjon ceremony. A couple of people can stay back with me, but those who want a lift, extra people want a lift, maybe have to rush back. So if you don't mind rushing back after the Wonjon ceremony, let me know and I can find you a ride. And those who are going to the Wonjon ceremony, there's a grab bag of food because it's going to be a long day. You need to sustain yourself. So grab a bag of food and some juice or water as you go out. Like I said before, as Alec is leaving, we can give a nice clap and wave him goodbye outside. I'm going to invite up the Continental Director of Family Federation for World Peace and Unification, Dr. Mike and Fumiko Balcom, to offer the benediction, the closing benediction, and then we'll have the recessional.
Let us pray. Our loving Heavenly Parent, our Father and Mother in heaven, thank you for this day. Thank you for the life of your beloved son, Alec, who goes now to join Elizabeth in the heavenly realm. Our true Father taught us that the day of passing is just like a baby being born. Until then, the baby knows only the mother's womb and enters a new world unknown, unthought of. And so it is today for you, Alec, as you take your place in heaven beside Elizabeth and our true Father. And for those of us here, today is an opportunity to think about who we really are. What we are doing here on this earth, our work, our positions, mean nothing. But the love that we share and express means everything. So today, let us go forward changed. Let us remember our purpose here. We're all your children. We're all here to build the kingdom that you long for, that you've been waiting for. We know that the world is not as you would want it to be. Our church is not what you want it to be. Our true mother is in this very moment in prison. But our spirits must be with you, because today is a day of rejoicing. Why? Because we are reminded that we are loved. We will always be loved. Alec, well done. You ran the good race. You fought the good fight, and now you will begin again, I am sure. We want to offer these thoughts, these prayers for Alec, for Elizabeth, for the family, and for each other as the holy community that we want to be. I ask this in grateful attendance to our Holy Mother Han, and in the name of Mike and Fumiko Balcom and all the blessed families here. Arju.
We'll now rise and sing Blessing of Glory.
Now
Need your help. So we can all rise. We can, those who can go down to wave goodbye to Alec. And please collect your bag of takeaway sandwiches from the Chester room downstairs. Okay. And see you at the 1 John for those. If you're staying here, there's refreshments in the dining room, so you don't have to rush away. Okay.